The world is trying so hard to remember the purple that they're forgetting that Prince was black. Welcome back to Prince's Friend, exploring music through Prince. Be sure to follow us on social media at Prince's Friend YT on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Hit like on this video, subscribe to the channel, make sure to hit the bell notification so you're always alerted when we release new videos. So my social media went crazy last week, which is a thing that happens whenever somebody brings up Prince's race. And it was surrounding the release of this new Sign of the Times Deluxe that I did a video about also last week. And it was pointed out by Erica from Muse to the Pharaoh that all of the commentary, all of the people speaking about Prince during this documentary, this interview series, this deluxe exclusive thing that's going to be released, none of the fans, none of the friends, none of the band members, none of the production staff, no one who was black or a person of color was part of this new product that's going to be released. And this set off quite a bit of turmoil. And the question was asked in a very respectful way. Hey, don't you think that when discussing a black artist, we should have black voices as well? The director of the Sign of the Times Deluxe jumped on Twitter and went bonkers, started threatening to block people and all kinds of stuff, got very defensive. And essentially, it boils down to black people and people of color on one side saying, hey man, you could have done better. And all of the white people on the other side saying, Prince didn't care about race, race doesn't matter in the end anyway, so who cares? And it's an interesting question to have, and it's one that I've actually breached on this channel before during my Was Prince Black video. I launched it last year and it caused a little bit of a stir, but it's time to have this conversation again, and I'm gonna try and put it into clearer terms. Prince was a black artist. No matter how much people want to make it about something else, we cannot erase the fact that he was black. And of course, the quick response that we get to a statement such as that is,
but the music is the important thing. I love him for his music.
And yeah, that's true, but Prince's black experience colored his music, his presentation, his personality, the songs that he wrote, the barriers he had to fight through to attain the stardom that he eventually got, how he was received by the public, everything. It's a level of privilege that people of color rarely attain, where you can say that race does not affect your day-to-day life. And honestly, everybody should just stop saying that. Race matters. We may not want it to matter, but it does matter. Me, myself, I even have a sense of dread when I have a taillight go out or something similar. What's gonna happen if I get pulled over? Could it go wrong? Black families have a thing called the talk, and it's not the birds and the bees as pop culture would make you think. Instead, it's us teaching our kids how to interact with law enforcement so that they don't kill you. So they don't kill you. I'm gonna repeat it again. So that a grown adult with a gun doesn't feel threatened by a child. And this is just the reality that is being black in America. And then of course, almost as if it was planned, the @Prince Twitter account posted a quote from Prince's MTV interview in 1985, the very first one that he gave to the channel.
I was brought up in a black and white world. And yes, black and white, night and day, rich and poor, black and white. And I listened to all kinds of music when I was young. And when I was younger, I always said that one day I was going to play all kinds of music and not be judged for the color of my skin, but the quality of my work.
And so many people, especially white people, pointed to this quote and they felt vindicated in their colorblind approach to life, thinking that this quote said that Prince was also colorblind. But obviously, not really. First, it was a direct response to a statement that the journalist said to him. They asked him how he felt about something.
Some people have criticized you for selling out to the white rock audience with Purple Rain and leaving your black listeners behind. How do you respond to that?
Oh, come on, come on. Cufflinks like this cost money, okay? Let's be frank. Can we be frank? If we can't be nothing else, we might as well be frank, okay?
So let me think.
Seriously,
And you'll notice that Prince got black there for a second, but then kind of went back and was serious again. But even just listening to the response, it's not a statement of diversity and equality. It's more so a direct response to the statement that was made by the journalist. And the actual quote means that he doesn't want to have the color of his skin dictate who can enjoy his music. It's not the colorblind quote that everyone is trying to make it out to be. It is Prince's attempt to start breaking down some barriers and a stereotypical way of thinking about an artist and who they can appeal to. Just to put a fine point on it, I kind of want to break down the quote line by line. I was brought up in a black and white world, and this is very true. He grew up as a black kid in a predominantly white city, which was also heavily segregated. As a matter of fact, the city of St. Paul, Minneapolis has its roots in institutionalized racism, even down to how the neighborhoods were structured and the roads were constructed. I can only imagine living in a time with such blatant racism. Of course, today, racists are a little bit sneakier. Black and white, night and day, rich and poor. In this line, Prince points out that everybody is separated. Everything is separated. That is as true today as it was back then, sadly. And I always said that one day I was going to play all kinds of music and not be judged for the color of my skin, but the quality of my work. And there it is, the line that everybody thinks means that Prince was colorblind, when in fact it's actually quite the opposite. In the music industry, Prince was something completely different. He was a black person who played guitar. Prince even noted this fact in the song Don't Play Me from The Truth, which was a 1997 acoustic album.
I'm the wrong color and I play guitar. My only competition is, well, me in the past and time.
And not only his look, the instruments that he played, the type of music he wanted to play, all of these things were barriers to someone of color. This is why at the beginning of his career, he worked very hard to blur those lines. Honestly, a lot of people thought he was Puerto Rican earlier on in his career, and he was light-skinned enough to kind of pass under that radar. He mixed black funk with white rock, and he was able to merge those audiences into an amazing fan base for himself. And it was really cool, like no one else was able to do that sort of thing at the time. But there was a certain point where Prince definitely started to wear his race on his sleeve. He had reached a level of success with 1999 and obviously Purple Rain, where he no longer had to pretend anymore. And it became fully obvious what his race was. He started filling his band with men and women, blacks and whites, trying to span the spectrum. He made it okay for anybody to come into the same space and perform. Prince didn't want to judge or be judged by the color of his skin. And he's right. You shouldn't go into situations like that with pre-assumptions and racism. You shouldn't try to put somebody in a box based on the color of their skin. But that also isn't saying that Prince ignored race or tried not to see race. He wanted to create a space where everybody was welcome, regardless of your race, gender, sexuality, etc. But it's not that he wanted everybody to be the same or to ignore each other's differences. He wanted to build a world for the rainbow children. The rainbow children. That means all the colors coming together. And in a rainbow, each individual color is important. Race is a part of everybody's identities. To say that Prince didn't care about race would be to say that his rainbow was just one drab gray line, a non-colorful rainbow. But we all know what he meant, and I'm hoping you all get it. The argument of Prince was purple, he wasn't black was one I've heard a million times, and I'll probably hear it 1,000,001 times after this video. And it has roots in the confusion that he sowed in the beginning of his career. But he rectified that on a pretty major level if you stuck around. He started fighting for the rights of people of color, donating to many a charity, and fighting for social justice. And he literally wrote a ton of songs about the black experience and the plight facing black people. Songs like Da Da Da, Baltimore, Money Don't Matter Tonight, Mars, Count the Days, Right the Wrong, Black Muse, Judas Smile, Dreamer, and of course the entire Rainbow Children album. So literally, if you think that Prince did not identify as a black man and did not fight for the rights of black people and did not project his race into his music and the experience for all of his friends, then you weren't paying attention.
You're blind and you can't see. to wear sunglasses like DMC. You're blind.
And I also want to point out that being pro-black doesn't make you anti-white. Wanting to have a discussion about race isn't trying to make everything about race. In the end, the music is what is the most important. But the man behind that music needs to be respected for every aspect of his being, including his race. All right, thank you for listening to yet another rant from Prince's Friend. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Be sure to hit like if you did. Follow us on social media at Prince's Friend YT, and check out the Patreon at patreon.com/princessfriend. You can support the channel for as little as $2 a month. Other than that, may you live to see the dawn. I love you all.